What I find so interesting is that the same arguments which were advanced about the train strikes could easily be advanced about teacher strikes and about the strikes of nurses and indeed junior doctors. That is that, yes, these strikes are hugely inconvenient and are dangerous because they put patients, for example, at risk, and they're seriously damaging the rail network, they're seriously damaging our faith in education. But actually, education doesn't work soundly even when there's not a strike. The trains don't work soundly when there's not a strike. And the health service doesn't work soundly when there's not a strike. There are still delayed operations. People still have their operations cancelled again and again and again. And it's not because there's a strike, it's because the system isn't working. The system is bureaucratically chaotic. Otherwise, it would be working. And then we could turn around and say, well, it's just the strikes which are the problem. No, I'm afraid not. So how do we solve these? If we look at the NHS and we look at the recent activity, we could say, well, there's £4 billion worth of unusable PPE stacked up somewhere. There's a huge sum of money that was made to procure all that useless PPE made by peers and allegedly by erstwhile friends of Matt Hancock and others. If we were to somehow or other be able to use that money, well, presumably we could pay for so many more nurses, so many more junior doctors. We could keep them happier anyway. But the fact that there's so much wastage, the fact that there's so much useless clod-hopping, ridiculous bureaucracy and authority and control over the people who actually do the real work, this causes a tidal wave of resentment. And why are we surprised? We cannot be surprised. When people who are highly intelligent look at the inefficiency of the system, whether that happens to be education, whether that happens to be the railway system, or whether that happens to be the NHS and our hospitals, how can they possibly get on with their jobs when they know the whole system is being run by twits? And they've had years to sort it out. If we have the same problems today that we had 15 years ago, I know, I saw them, then the bureaucrats are not functioning properly, are they? Why are the bureaucrats in the same jobs? Why are the bureaucrats being paid so much more than the people who actually do the jobs? And if the bureaucrats think that they should be paid more, why aren't they on strike? They're not, because they know they've got a cushy number. And I think that's wrong.